Welcome back. In this session, we are going to understand Docker storage. Now, let's start with the problem statement. Now, if you remember our book review application, so this is three-tier application, right? So, if we need to run this application as a container, then we need front-end container, we need back-end container, then we need database container. Now, in this application, we are storing all data regarding the books, and when someone writing the book review in the data container, right? Now, what happened if this container crashed? You will and we will lost our all data of the container. Why? Because container is ephemeral in nature. What is ephemeral? Ephemeral means it don't maintain state. It's also called short term and short lived means once this container crashed and get restarted, then it lost all data, session data or any data that was produced on the container. Because of that, we need a storage where we can store data persistently and for the long term. Now let's understand this in more detail. So whenever a container get restart or get crashed, then it lost the data. So this is similar to a hotel room. So when you check in, then you get the fresh room. Once you check out, and after 2 hours, if you go in the same room, then you see everything is fresh. Similar way container works. So each time a container restart is get the fresh environment. Yes, so every time a container starts is get a fresh environment, and any data created or modified inside the container. So when container was present, so any data created and modified inside the container, this will get lost whenever a container stopped or crashed. Even restarting the container do not bring back the lost data. So whether if this is going to stop or you're going to crash, it's going to restart, it will lose its all data. And this is behavior, and this behavior of container is intentional because containers are designed to be lightweight, isolated, portable, disposable and reproducible. So this is how container is designed. So now question is, yes, now we understood our data will get lost, right? So we need a system, we need a way to make this data persistence, to make this data live, right? So we will understand what is the solution. But again, let's go ahead and understand with some real example why what is the problem with the real-time application when we are running in a container. So first problem is logging issue. Okay, so imagine you are running a NGINX web application inside a container, and now this is handling thousands of requests every hours. So when someone is accessing this NGINX application, then it has the logs, right? It has the access log and also error log, right? Error log. And where these logs are inside this container. And we know these logs help us in monitoring the performance of the application, identifying if there is any security threats, or maybe if there is any problem in the application, we can go ahead and debug it. But we know when this container get restart, then we will lost all this data, right? So this is the problem with the debugging and the security. So once it's got restarted means we lost this access data, error log, so we're not able to debug it. A developer cannot go ahead and debug it. If there's any problems happen and because of that this container crashed, then again we don't have a way to go and see what was the problem and find the security issues. So this is one of the biggest challenge with the Docker being as ephemeral in a nature. Now another problem is, let's say if you have the application, you have the front end and the back end, and both need to communicate on a certain data. So imagine a backend is producing a data, let's say here in some file, and this data need to be accessed by the front end. So, and when this accessing this data, this is making available to the user. Now once again, if you see, if this container got crashed or got restarted, so this is going to lost all this data, because when new container will come, it will be completely new, it will be the fresh environment, means this application front end will not able to access the data, right? So now you see, if your application is designed such a way, one component of your application producing the data and another component is accessing this data, then if container got crashed, we cannot access this data, right? So this is the second real-time problem. Now third problem is limited access to the host machine and host file. Now we know the way container is designed, this is isolated, and sometimes you need to access a files that is present on the host machine by the container, but the way this container is designed, this is isolated, so you cannot access data that is present on the host machine. So this is the another problem, right? Now let's take another example. Now imagine on the host machine there is the cron job, and this cron job creating a data called sales.csv file, and now this data need to be available to the container. Again we cannot access this, right? So these are three real-time problem I was trying to make you understand what is problem if a container not able to persist a data for the long term. Now what is the solution? Yes, there is a solution. One solution is called bind mount, means we will be able to map a directory from the host machine to the container and it will access. So this is called bind mount solution. And another is called docker volume, means we can create with the docker, we can create a volume and that volume is managed by docker. So we are going to understand bind mounts and docker volume in the next session. Thank you so much. See you in the next session.